So I don't know if you know this, but Biden claims he got 100 hostages out of Gaza. I didn't see that happen, but he claimed that he got over 100 hostages out, and the rest are coming. I don't. A rest should be coming, not the rest. A rest should be coming for him, like now. Why is this guy still president?
It's shocking and terrifying when you think about the fact that he is. Because you forget, right? Yeah. And he's not doing it. It doesn't seem like he's active on a day-to-day basis. You don't hear from him often.
But we're all still talking about like nuclear war or war in Europe, war in China. Did you see what's happening in China? In China right now, their economy is collapsing because they did the same thing we did. And so they bailed everybody out, but not the people. You know, why worry about the peasants? You know, they bailed out all the banks and everybody at the top, so they all got their money, but none of the peasants did. Now they're starting to go, we might need to go back to some of that teachings of Mao in the 1960s because there's starting to be real civil unrest because people lost their money, lost their home. In China, you didn't get your home. You were paying every month on your home, and at the end, you could get your home. So they put all of this money in, and they don't have anything. They don't even have the home. They don't have the land. They have nothing. Okay, what happens when a country like China or a country like America is in real trouble of civil unrest? What do they usually do? What unites a country? I'll give you one word in China. It's called Taiwan. That's also an industrial giant. Will also help them economically.
Yeah, I mean, I guess long term it would, right? Like you go in there and you make all the factories explode. Generally speaking, it's not going to help you. It's not going to help anybody economically in the short term.
I hope somebody makes those factories explode. I mean, it'll hurt the whole world, but
yeah, but I'm gonna hurt the world. But I mean,
you can't have China. Those are the best. That's for every supercomputer. Those are the finest chips made, the most complicated chips made. You can't have China control all of that, and we get nothing. Are you crazy?
Yeah, it's a problem. I mean, they took over Hong Kong. Didn't seem like anybody even noticed.
Yeah, I know.
Everyone's like,
They killed all the people in Hong Kong, you know. But we were like, I have a sneeze. What's coming from China? And they killed all of those protesters when we weren't paying attention. And I think they are going back to Mao rules. They're now saying, Xi Jinping is saying, what we need to do is give local control of your population, but I'll hold you responsible if your local population gets out of control. So that's what Mao did. And then so all of the locals were like, well, string them up, kill them, make an example out of them. I mean, it went dark fast because they didn't want to get killed or strung up. And they're going back to that now. He just issued an order that it's local control of all civilian unrest. And so all the locals are going to be held responsible. So that could get bad. And with the economy just dying over there, they need a distraction. And if I were China, is China listening? Oh, yeah, that's right. They listen to everything. If I were China, this would be the time I would take it. What's Donald Trump going to do? January 20th, we're already there. We've already taken it. They could take it in a swarm almost overnight. You think Chinese Joe, who's asleep, is going to do anything? You think this Pentagon will send a bunch of he-she's over there to fight? No. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen.
What's the right thing to do in that situation?
For us?
Yeah. Like, what? You're president of the United States. God, heavens, please protect us against such a fate. But Glenn Beck is president of the United States, and China decides to go in there. And I know we have all sorts of promises.
I would already have my special forces there, honestly, working with their government or not if they won't do it, but I'd detonate. If there was an invasion, I'd detonate those labs.
So you're saying destroy the technology,
Destroy
so that
the
China
technology.
Can't get their
yeah,
hands
so
on
we
it.
all are standing at an equal chance of getting the super chips. You know, they have to rebuild, we have to rebuild. They'll build it faster than us because they'll do it. They'll build a building without bones, human bones, if they have to.
Well, we have some of this.
Taiwan is
It's like 95% of the market or something
and
ridiculous.
it's of all of the biggest and best chips.
And that's but that's the manufacturing, right?
Yes.
So it's not like we're going to need to rediscover this technology.
No, but no. We don't have to rediscover it. It's just very hard to build those clean rooms.
Sure.
Okay. So the first and maybe only thing I would do, because we don't have the supply line. We can what do we have? What do we have? Well, we could take all the drones out of New Jersey and fly them over to China. Mm-hmm. But China have you seen the drone army that they have?
Oh yeah, I've seen some of the videos and stuff. Yeah.
It's crazy. It will overwhelm anything we would try to do. And we just don't have the supply lines. We can't get the fuel and the munitions and everything over to China fast enough. It would be over.
I mean, at the end of the day, and this is somewhat true with Russia and several other enemies, like we want to avoid that war at any cost.
Yes.
Like I want to avoid war with China basically at any cost.
We won't go to war with China.
We're not going to go.
Taiwan.
And I know, and like it's sad to say, but like we won't. I think at the end of the day, we will not do that.
No.
Now, the hope is you have someone like Trump in who projects some strength.
Yeah, that's
China
why you
doesn't
do it. That's why you do it right now.
In the last month?
Yeah. In 4 weeks, they'll control Taiwan, and it'll be over.
Trump has been pretty clear. Like, I mean, let's be honest about it. I'm a little concerned that Donald Trump might have a constitutional violation because he's supposed to be limited to 2 terms, and he seems to currently be president of the United States. Like, he seems like he just took over early. Like
Wow, that is true.
I mean, it's crazy.
I've never seen that. You're right. I've never seen this.
It's bizarre. I mean,
Yeah.
he seems to basically. I know he doesn't have his hands on all of the tools that he will have when he's president.
Yeah.
But as far as like
he's affecting all of the foreign policy and everything else.
Yeah, which is incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is.
It is.
And I do think
it's because there's a vacuum.
Yeah,
I mean, he can do it because, I think the last
he has to do it. He has no choice but to do it for the good of the country.
Yes.
I honestly think that, like, without him stepping into a lot of these situations, God only knows what would happen. I think a lot of these countries are looking at this and saying, all right, like, let's get through the next few weeks.
I think Russia is just preparing for negotiations.
Yeah.
Okay. And they're trying to strengthen their hand for negotiations with Trump because they know he is tough on negotiations.
Yep.
But China is backed into a financial corner so deeply that they may need a win in Taiwan to hold their nation together because they're in real dire trouble. Dire trouble. They took all these people out of the rice paddies and had them build these ghost cities that are sitting empty. And so they see how they can live and they're sitting empty. And wait, you just took my money. Well, I want one of those. Why don't I get one of those? Why are you bailing? Think how mad we were at the bailout of the banks. Imagine being rice paddy to bamboo scaffolding, building those giant cities. They're completely empty. The banks have them. Now China has them. And you lost everything. Oh, my gosh.
This is central plan.
They're in trouble.
Right?
Yeah.
This is what happens with it.
They are in big trouble.
They are in trouble. I hope they don't do this because I don't know. There's not really a great answer.
We could look. By the time we get back from the Christmas vacation, we could be looking at a different world. Remember when we came back from Christmas vacation in 2020, and I said, stupidly, "Wow, have you seen what they're doing in China? They're like telling everybody they have to stay in. Well, you'll never do that in America.
I thought the same thing. I
Yeah,
thought
I
when
know.
it was happening in Italy.
Yeah.
I remember being like, can you imagine if they ever tried to do that here? Like 6 days later.
Yeah. And we're being yelled at. They have every right to do it. And we're like, what? Wait, what? But anyway, we could be coming back from vacation talking about Taiwan. I hope not.
Yeah.
I hope not. But I don't think we have anything we could do other than tariffs and trade wars. We can't go to war with China at this point. We can't.
I think, though, projecting strength does a lot in that relationship.
Yeah. Now, could I just
not feebly folding every single time?
But that's why I say this is your last chance. If China wants to make a move in the next 4 years, if Vance gets in, possibly another 8 or 12 years before you could have a weakened America like you have now. And let me show you how weak. This is the National Security Council advisor inside of the White House. This is from O'Keefe Media. Listen to what he says about Joe Biden's condition.
Well, here's the tea. Joe Biden is like dead. She like can't even say something. She's like really like progressed in his old age. Everybody recognized. I can't believe it wasn't a bigger scandal where he'll be dead in a year. My boss was on an international trip with him, like Europe or something. The phone rang in the office, and I was like, "Well, Mr. President." Henry, he was like, he's safe there. He's like, no, he's traveling with you. He's on the same trip you are. A couple weeks ago, I was like the last one in the office, and he called for my boss. And so I picked the phone and said, hello, Mr. President, like, Henry on Jake's phone. He's left for the day, but I can try to get him on the line for you. And he like asked me some questions, and I was like, I don't know, like, how many get the track him down, so don't call his Secret Service detail. It's like I'll try his like unclassified phone. Like then like 10 seconds later, same phone. I picked it up again. I was like, hi again, it's Henry. He was like, is Jake there? I was like, no, you called the same office.
Oh my gosh! In case you couldn't understand that, he was saying this is Jake Sullivan's assistant, and he said he's practically dead. He can't put coherent sentences together. He said Jake was on a trip with Biden overseas, and he called Jake's phone back in Washington, and that guy picked it up, and he said, no, Mr. President, Jake is with you on that trip. Oh, then he called again, and he said, hey, I need to call Jake. And he said, well, he's not here. I'll call him. And he said, no, now listen to this. I'll just call him on his unclassified phone. Okay. You don't do that. You do not do that. And I'll explain why if we have time later in the show. But he says, I'll just call him on his unclassified phone. Hangs up the phone. Phone rings again. That guy picks it up. Henry picks it up. And he's like, hello, Mr. President. No, you called the same phone number. Tell me if you are a world leader, you don't look at your opportunity that is going away in the next 4 or 5 weeks and say, I don't know. I think we do it right now. I hope nobody is thinking about that. But this is why I've said this time between the election and the inauguration is wildly dangerous for America. And the less we pay attention to the news, the more dangerous it becomes. And that kind of begins in America next week.